Okay, so the recording should now kick in. Right, so the roll call starting with Councillor Reynolds as convener.
Present.
Councillor Malik as vice convener.
Here.
Councillor Allen.
Present.
Councillor Bell.
Present.
Councillor Delaney.
Present.
Councillor Henriksen.
Present.
Councillor Radley.
Present.
Councillor Seller.
Present.
And Councillor Townsend.
Present.
Okay, I'll hand you back to the convener.
Thank you very much indeed, Mark. Okay, so over to the agenda proper. The first item, 1.1, is urgent business. We have none. Item 2.1, exempt business. We have none. 3.1, confidential business. As members will see, that is in the pack. Do we have any declarations of interest? No. No, okay, thank you very much. I see a lot of nodding heads, or shaking heads, sorry, not nodding heads, I apologise. Deputations, Mark, do we have any deputations at all?
No, we don't have any deputations for the reports before us.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. On to item 6.1, which is a minute of the previous meeting of the 26th of October. Can I take it that that is a correct minute? Yep, okay, thank you very much. On to item 6.2. Mark, can I bring you in here because there is one item missing, isn't there?
Yes, there is. Members will recall at the last meeting we had two items to be added to the planner. One has been added. The other one, which wasn't added, was the review of the taxi ranks, which I have now added to the planner. It'll be in the to be confirmed section. So once the licensing officers are able to advise me, I'll add it to whatever meeting it will be for next year.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any questions on the committee business planner? No, everybody happy there? Okay, thank you very much indeed. So we go on to the applications for licenses, and members will note that we're very light on applications this week. So just one application, which is a request for exemption of a late hours catering license for Morrison's. Karen, can I bring you in here now to speak to this?
Yes, certainly. Members have before them a request for an exemption under the late hours catering licence for an hour from 11 p.m. to midnight from the 20th of December to the 23rd of December, inclusive for Morrison's petrol filling station. We have a statement from the agent, which unfortunately was missed from the application pack, but I could read that to you if you wish.
Yes, please.
Further to the application letter for exemption dated the 22nd of October, we would like to assist the committee by confirming that this short exemption request is purely for the very busy 4 nights prior to Christmas and only relates to the sale of their standard food and drinks sold throughout the day. Alcohol sales are of course excluded from this, as alcohol cannot be sold after 10 p.m. This would simply allow the petrol station to carry on selling their normal groceries, hot drinks, etc. for an additional hour temporarily, as allowed under statute. We hope this assists the committee.
Okay, thank you very much. Members, any questions at all? No, happy to grant?
Agreed.
Yes, okay, thank you very much. That is granted. We now go on to the committee reports. 8.1 is the Licensing Committee Annual Effectiveness Report. Are there any questions at all? No. Happy to note? Yep, thank you very much indeed. 8.2 Queen Street Taxi Rank Proposal. Karen, again, can I bring you in on this one?
This was the proposal to put a taxi rank to the south side of Queen Street. We did a consultation, and as you can see from the consultation responses, that it's probably not in the best interest, but that's up to you whether you wish to proceed or not.
Okay, thank you. Members will remember that when this was discussed at the taxi working group, the proposal was for a couple of spaces on the north side of Queen Street, which was basically close to where the church is or where Mackay's was. officers at that time from Road said that it wouldn't be possible for that because of all the work going on Mackay's, which was going to be demolished at that time, and also the work going on the church. So the trade changed their mind and suggested that we should be looking at the south side of the street and up to 9 spaces. Hence, we have the report in front of us. Councillor Delaney, you've got a question.
Yes, convener. First of all, just a statement, very disappointed at the low response. And I would be cautious towards reading too much into that response. Just because of the extremely low numbers. But what I was wondering, this is more of a question really, is that I can understand some of the feedback that's come back a bit late at night and so on, but would we really want a taxi rank to be open here late at night? I could see it serving the likes of Marshall Square during the day and into the evenings. Certainly, it would be very accessible for Marshall College also through the day. But is there really a sort of late night purpose for a rank being there? Because that would perhaps dismay some of the concerns if maybe we're limiting it to maybe an hour after the restaurants in Marshall Square had closed, for instance. I'm just trying to think of a practical way around this. Thank you.
If I could bring Sandy in, he actually dealt with this report, so he might be able to shed more light on that one.
Sandy, over to
Hello.
you.
Yeah, hiya. I don't have off the top of my head what time the Marshall Square restaurants close, but some of them do have midnight-ish hours as far as I'm aware. So that might have been yeah, I mean, I think in terms of the proposal as it stands at the moment, you'll see from the report what we're maybe suggesting is that it's not feasible and what the trade have asked for at the moment, but it's maybe something that we can incorporate into the wider taxi rank review that, as Mark has said, has just been added to the planner. So we can look at different options around that area. If Queen Street itself isn't going to be of any use, then if there's any other options nearby, or if, as Councillor Reynolds said, the north end is maybe now a possibility.
Right, Sandy, thank you very much indeed. We have somebody trying to come in here. Can we identify who that is, please? Mark, are you able to identify who's trying to get in?
No, unfortunately, I'm not. I'm not sure if Benedict from the licensing team is. I can see a telephone number there, but I don't know who that person is.
That appears to have disappeared off my screen now.
Okay, if you just can't continue with the meeting.
Okay. Councillor Delaney, back to you.
Yes, thank you, convener. Certainly, from what I was hearing from the trade, and that I wouldn't disagree with from that meeting, I think there is a need for a rank in this particular area. And certainly, reading through the report, I am hearing, well, could we not incorporate it into the bigger review that we're doing? And of course, we could do that. But if we were to do that, well, in fact, we could do that anyway, and we could still put in place a rank here. Simply because it's going to take quite a number of months for this review to be completed, and we're still leaving a sort of gap, because since Broad Street was developed and Marshall Square and so on, there has always been a sort of difficulty around about this area, and certainly with the Backwind rank closed at the moment for reasons we know, there are difficulties people getting access to this particular area. It's made even worse. I think it would be worth, if we could do it maybe on a sort of trial basis, or if that's not possible, just go ahead, but do incorporate it into the review, and then when the review all comes out of all the taxi ranks, we'll see what's best. Is it working there? We'll have seen it running for a few months, and if it's not, are there alternatives that are suggested? But I think there's a need for something in this general area, whether it's specifically there or not, convener. I'm just trying to think of as a way that we could facilitate that and see how this works out.
Okay, Karen or Sandy, do you want to come in on here? If we can amend the suggestions put forward to putting it on the north side or reducing the numbers of stances, I guess we would have to consult with our roads officers again anyway, which would probably drag it out a little bit further.
Yeah, we'd probably have to redo the sort of consultation exercise. And whilst it obviously is in the committee's remit, I would be very careful when both roads and the police have said no, where it is on grounds of public safety, etc. It would narrow the road, so it's essentially one way, both. And it's a dead end, so cars would have to turn around and come back up. I appreciate what Councillor Delaney is saying about a need. What I would perhaps say is he mentioned himself the low responses to the consultation. Well, that goes for the trade as well. They didn't respond either. In terms of explaining the need for it in that area. So I would maybe suggest that whilst I accept that there possibly is a need for it and around that area, there's maybe not a desperate need, and that's why we suggested incorporating it into the wider review. But certainly, if the committee wanted to do something with this proposal, then they would have to put it where it's been consulted on. They could lower the number of spaces because that's less than has been consulted on. That's not an issue. But if they wanted to move it, I think we would have to reconsult. If they wanted to move it to the other side of the road, because that's not something that we asked the question on.
Okay, can I just step in there before I bring Councillor Delaney back in? So, Sandy, you suggest that we could reduce the numbers and retain it within that report, and it's all gone out to consultation. So, if we reduce the numbers to 2 or 3 parking spots on the south side of the city, that would alleviate those objections as to over capacity, wouldn't it?
I don't think the worry is to capacity. I think it was more, if you put anything there, it narrows the road width, regardless of how long the rank itself is. So my understanding is the objection wasn't to do with the number of vehicles on a rank. It was to do with the fact that basically anything on that side of the road subsequently narrows the road to essentially one-way traffic, and it's a two-way street.
Okay, Councillor Delaney.
Yes, thank you, convener. I've listened carefully, and I'd like to hear what other members have to say before I decide whether or not to move anything. Entirely open-minded, but just trying to be helpful in moving things along here. Thank you, convener.
Thank you very much indeed. If I can bring Councillor Henrickson first and then Councillor Allen, please.
Yeah, thank you, convener. Just a couple of things. I apologise. I may have, if this question has been answered, but I was actually removed from the meeting and had to rejoin the meeting. Someone removed me from the meeting. Perhaps that's something that should be looked at. So my basic question is, and I do apologise if it was covered while I was out of the meeting, was the initial proposal was to put it on the north side of the location next to the church and Mackay's, but with the scaffolding now down from the church and Mackay's demolished, I just wondered if it would be possible to look at putting it back there. That's what I was going. I'd apologise if that had already been covered, but I was actually removed from the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Henrickson. Sandy, do you want to respond on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible to look at it. It's something that we would need to, as I said, go out to fresh consultation on. My understanding that the issues with that side of the road is the parking issues and obviously the resultant loss of parking, including disabled parking, to the best of my knowledge. But it's an option, but it would be like starting again almost, because it would be a fresh proposal, because what we've consulted on is the proposal that came from the taxi and private hire consultation group, which was the south side. So if we wanted to look at the north side, we've not asked that question, so we would need to do it again.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Henrickson, do you want to come back on that?
No, I'm fine for that. I mean, I'm sorry, but I wasn't sure whether that had been covered while I was out of the meeting. I do apologise for that.
Not at all. Thank you very much indeed. Just before I bring Councillor Allen in, what you're saying, Sandy, I guess, is that yes, we could do that. We could make the decision today to put it back to consultation, and I guess that would actually speed the process up rather than waiting for the review itself, would it?
Yeah, quite probably it would be quicker than putting it into the general review, because obviously until we know what's happening with likes of Union Street, etc., we can't hold the full review until we know what we're reviewing in essence. So if we're doing this one on its own, then it would be similar to what we've already done for the south side. It would be a fresh consultation exercise just for the amended. What we would need is a very clear indication of what we would be consulting on, so sort of an idea of length of rank, position, etc.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Sandy. Councillor Allen, can I bring you in now?
Yes, thank you, convener. I have concerns about this application. The number is definitely, I think, way too high. If you put that amount of cars along that quite narrow road, there's nothing going to be left, no space at all for general movement. But can I ask, is there a bay, be it official or unofficial, round the corner on the upper, is it the Upper Cargate, just outside that macaroni, whatever it's called, restaurant? There seems to be taxis that park there already, but I don't know if that's an official space or unofficial space, but maybe we could take that part of the road into consideration, because it is very close to the restaurants and it's actually closer to the entrance to Marshall College as well. So I wondered if that might be an option.
Okay, thank you. Karen, can I bring you in? My understanding is that it isn't a rank, it's an unofficial rank.
No.
Yeah. And
It's not, but it could be an option. We could check with roads.
okay. Councillor Allen?
Yeah, that's fine. I just think it is a more appropriate place than, because that bit of Queen Street it's quite a busy wee road, you know,
Yeah.
people going up and down, and also deliveries going down to the art centre and the Lemon Tree as well. Okay, thank you. That's fine.
Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Radley, then Councillor Bell, please.
Perfect, thank you, convener. I have a few concerns with this. Similar to Councillor Allen, I think the road is quite narrow and, you know, not great for access. There also is concern regarding the loss of disabled bays. The lane that Councillor Allen has just referred to, it's my understanding, is a disabled parking zone. Can take 3 or 4 cars. Similarly on Queen Street, it is disabled parking at the top end and at the bottom end. So I'd be concerned that we're losing disabled parking bays. Although the need for taxis in the area, you know, has been highlighted, I wouldn't want to see the loss of disabled bays. For that to happen, it needs to work together, and there needs to be that balance. And I wouldn't be keen to sort of cut off an access route for disabled people into the area either. That's all sort of I have to say on the issue.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Radley. Totally agree with your sentiments there. We certainly don't want to lose the disabled parking, but we also need to get the balance right as well. That's essential. Councillor Bell, if I can bring you in.
Thank you, convener. So as Councillor Delaney says, it's disappointing that there aren't many, there haven't been many comments made to the consultation, but in those various comments, I don't see any that are actually for the taxi rank. Two comments, quite significant comments, are from Police Scotland and from the Aberdeen City Council Roads Department. And both of them are worried about the narrow carriageway there, but in particular, when the former Police Scotland building in Queen Street is demolished. So Police Scotland say that the carriageway is likely to experience use for heavy plant, and a narrow roadway may be problematic for access by large vehicles. They also speak about emergency vehicles being deployed, at any time of the day and night, and this could actually be hazardous. The poor lighting in the area could be a hazard, with people sort of wandering about there when these vehicles are travelling around. And that's kind of in the similar vein to the City Council roads department. So really based on those, and the fact that there is no there is no one actually saying this is a great idea. I'm really not sure about it at all. Thank you, Camilla.
Thank you very much indeed. Any other questions at all? Anyone I haven't brought in? No, I think the feeling that I'm getting from this is that the committee don't want to go ahead with the plan as is, and supporting what the objectors are saying, what Police Scotland and our roads people are saying, but they do feel that there is a need for taxi provision on Queen Street. Could I suggest that we look at the north side of the street? Would it be east of the disabled parking? If memory serves me right, we've got a drop-off parking spot, then we've got a disabled spot, and then we've got payable parking. Could I suggest that we look at 2 spaces to the east of the disabled parking for a small taxi rank in the meantime, until we go through the review as a whole and look at the whole city? What are members' thoughts on that? Councillor Delaney, I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you, convener. I certainly would be supportive of that, but only on the basis that we keep our options open with regard to accessibility through this particular area. With that in mind, I would very much back what Councillor Allen has suggested, that we look at the possibilities with regard to Upper Kirkgate, and we take the two together. That's what I'd like to go with it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think somebody has already mentioned, though, that that lay-by that was in front of the old housing department there was for disabled cars. I think that was Councillor Radley. Can we confirm that, please?
I can't confirm it. I do know it's been looked at previously, that area, and was deemed unsuitable, but there's nothing to stop us asking the question again. It's been looked at during a previous review, but that was a few years ago now. So as I said, there is nothing to stop us asking the question again. It may well be that it is a no-go for those very reasons, but we can ask.
Councillor Delaney?
Again, please. Thank you. Just one final word, and that is, it's obvious that right across the committee, we don't want to displace disabled bays at all. So if it is that there's disabled bays there, there would surely be nothing stopping us from looking at an area adjacent to that, because it's a fair stretch of road. So I'd like that without displacing disabled bays, if we could be looking at perhaps spaces you've suggested in Queen Street, look at the possibility of that on the north side, and look at, sorry, the south side, I think you said, didn't you?
No, north side.
As long
the church side.
What displacing.
The church side as against the townhouse side. I think that's the easiest way to describe it.
Thank you, convener. I think as long as we're looking at, in principle, a couple of spaces in that area, a couple of spaces, or maybe 3 spaces, I don't know, whatever's considered appropriate by the committee, on Upper Kirkgate at approximately that location. And we just bear in mind that we're not looking to disadvantage disabled access, but we do want to get people access into the area by taxi, which they just can't do at the moment. If that's, I don't know how you would word that into some sort of proposal, but I think that's maybe hopefully summing up where we're all coming from where I see it. Thank you, convener.
Yeah. Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Malik, please.
Thanks very much, convener. I am not opposing your proposal, small taxi rank, but I still think that we can look the other option which Councillor Allen suggested, Upper Kirkgate. This is the suitable place, and we have seen some concern from our consultees, police and Aberdeen City Council. If we all agree, the best option would be Upper Kirkgate, and as Councillor Delaney suggested, that maybe a small taxi rank 3 spaces, I would be happy if we can agree Upper Kirkgate.
Okay, thank you. I think if we look back to the recent past where we had taxis on Flour Mill Bray, when we had the temporary taxi rank there, it did prove very, very popular. It did prove popular not only with the public because it was very close to both the Bonnecourt Centre and the Old St Nicholas Centre, but it also proved very popular with the taxi drivers. And I guess one of the reasons why it was abandoned was because we had so many taxis parked up there and there was no road markings to say how many we would allow there. So if we're looking, I totally agree with what's been proposed, that we should be looking at either 2 or 3 on the north side of Queen Street and looking at the lay-by on the south side of Upper Kirkgate. Sandy, can you give us some advice on this proposal?
What I'm wondering is if you've established the Queen Street one is one to raise the question on, if you like. I wonder if we consult on that, similar as we've consulted on the south side once we establish with roads what's there, because I'll be honest, I'm not completely au fait with where the disabled parking spaces are and what would be available for a rank on that side of the street. And then possibly, I'm just wondering how to phrase it, rather than perhaps restricting it to the Upper Kirkgate, because I said I know that has been considered before. So if that's a non-starter, maybe if we maybe investigate with our roads colleagues or other colleagues and see what potential options in that area, rather than limiting it to Upper Kirkgate, see what options for a rank would be in that area, and possibly bring that back to yourselves for a formal go ahead on once we have an idea of what could be possible. Then we could see if any of those would be worth taking forward to formal consultation, etc. I don't know if that would be a kind of middle ground for you.
Okay, Councillor Allen, can I bring you in on that one?
Yeah, I'm not sure if the total lay-by is all disabled spacing. I've got a feeling there's maybe 2 spaces there, and because I have seen other cars parked there, I am still concerned about Queen Street, because in the meantime people are parking there and it's pay to park, which is fair enough, but that is the only access they have to Marshall College just now. And taking away, I mean, I would not want more than 2, because I think we still need to leave some space there for the public to access Marshall.
Yeah, Sandy, going to come back in?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that kind of changes any. If we consult on, once we speak to roads and see what is available with the least disruption. I mean, this is going to be the problem with whatever you decide here, because as Councillor Allen just said there, if there's 2 disabled spaces in the lay-by in Upper Kirkgate and we then use the rest for a taxi rank, then that means there's nothing else available for other vehicles as well. So there's going to be a loss somewhere probably. Which is why I was saying possibly if you want to look at Queen Street just now with a consultation, we can then look at the whole surrounding area and in connection with our roads colleagues, see what's least disruption to the overall picture, I guess, but provides the additional rank space, and bring that back to you. That's obviously quicker than incorporating it into the overall review, because we can start that question process now, and might give us an idea of what's feasible and what isn't.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way forward, and to stick with 2 rather than 3 on Queen Street, because as Councillor Allen rightly says, we don't want to lose all the parking there, and I think 2 would fit in quite nicely. It still leaves a number of spaces available. Certainly the taxi trade have been hit badly with the removal of ranks, etc. And of course with Haddon Street as a potential loss as well. We also look at the 2 spaces that were taken away in between the E&M buildings. I don't know what that road is called, but we took 2 ranks away from there and put 2 disabled ranks in, 2 disabled spaces in place of it. So the trade have lost out tremendously over the past couple of years in particular, with regard to spaces. So can we move forward with this in as much as we don't accept the recommendation? Sorry, we accept the recommendations in the report in as much as we're not taking on the south side of Queen Street, but we do look at the north side of Queen Street adjacent to the disabled parking spot that's already there for 2 spaces, and that we ask roads to look at the immediate area, including the space outside or on Upper Kirkgate. I keep saying outside the old housing department, but on Upper Kirkgate, and we take it from there. Would that be agreeable to members? Yeah. Okay, Sandy,
Yes.
do you know what you're doing now? Yep.
Rarely, but yeah, we'll see what we can get for you.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much indeed, members. Thank you. Okay, so we move on to the next item, which is 8.3, the sexual entertainment venue licensing. Karen, do you want to speak to this first of all?
Yeah, the members have before you the policy that you approved earlier. Was it end of November, which has now been out for consultation. The consultation comments are added. We just need you to approve, look at the fees that we've suggested as well, and see if you could approve that. And there's only one issue that we need to draw to your attention. Members decided on 6 for the number of premises for the policy, but as you can see in the consultation responses, we have a 7th venue who now have adult entertainment on their alcohol licence and who would like to also be included, but that is up to you whether you want to extend it to 7 or just leave it at 6.
Okay, members' questions. Councillor Townsend.
Thank you, convener. What I'd like to ask is around one of the comments on the consultation by Police Scotland. It's on page 52. They said they've essentially no comment on the draft other than one recommendation they'd previously made, which appears to not be included, and question whether we consider this matter. And it's where a specific activity is considered as being higher risk, such as bondage, S&M, flagellation, etc. It should be a condition that a copy of the photo ID of any participant is obtained and retained. And additionally, would the committee or have the committee considered whether a consent register would be appropriate where a high risk activity such as described is taking place? And it was, when I look back at the draft, I'm looking at Article 4, preventing nuisance crime disorder and relating to human trafficking and vulnerability, and then looking further into number 7, reducing violence against women. I think this this consent register might be very appropriate. Just a one-liner added at the record keeping and management, because I see that photographs are required for performers, but it was really just to put the committee to consider whether a consent register would be appropriate, because it is our intention to reduce risk, and that's the whole point of our activities, to reduce risk and control. So I wondered if the committee could consider that. It's just a couple of lines at the end there.
Yeah. Karen.
We didn't add that comment because we intended using that as a condition to licenses that we're going to be offering such services rather than as a generic catch-all. But we could add that, fine, if you want, if you wish to, for it to be added to the whole policy.
Yeah, I think belt and braces are ideal. Councillor Townsend.
I appreciate that explanation, but I just thought that that then becomes very emphatic as to what we are aimed at, and the comment by Police Scotland is well placed, and it's just a couple of words added and it draws attention and makes it quite specific and reducing or controlling risk.
I will check the GDPR issues that may be raised by such a list, but and if we can include it, we will do.
Excellent. Members agree to that? Yes. Thank you very much indeed. So, Karen, any other points that you'd like to raise?
No, as long as everyone's happy to approve the fees and everything that's on it.
Right, but you want us to consider whether we go for 6 or 7, is that correct?
Yes, please.
Okay, members, over to you. We've got 6 that are already operating. There is a 7th that is considering an application. If we set the policy for 6, it could exclude that particular applicant. I think that the fairest way forward is probably to change from 6 to 7. Members' thoughts on it, please. Councillor Malik.
Thanks very much, convener. So where we will end up then? If 7, then next one 8 and 10. So we have to put some kind of limit as well then. And I think if everybody agrees, 6 will be more than enough.
Okay, I could go along with that, but we already know that there are going to be 7 applications.
Okay.
Okay, Councillor Allen.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused now. I was hearing that the 7th is existing. Is that correct, or it would be a new application?
There will always be new applications. It's just that we considered 6 for the existing premises at this moment in time. This is a recent application to alcohol licence to add adult entertainment, and they wish, as part of their business model, to offer at least 6 every couple of months, 6 or 7 like hen or stag party strip shows in a year. So they would, because the exemption is only for 4, they would have to apply for an SEV licence, and because they have adult entertainment on their alcohol licence, they were not included within the calculation of the 6 existing premises. So this would make it a 7th premises to do with their current business model.
Okay, well, in that case, I would agree with Councillor Malik that we'd stick to the 6, because that is the number we were given as existing, and the number that we expected to apply for the licenses. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Allen. Any other members want to come in? Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Lena. I would also go along with Councillors Malik and Allen with limiting this to 6. I mean, in the policy, I note that item 14, that a policy of random searches of persons entering the venue is operated at all times when the venue is open to customers. So clearly, if there are established premises, then they'll have the facilities to be able to do that. But if these are just kind of pop-ups, then this 7th, with its occasional partying or whatever, they won't have that facility. I would suggest. So I would certainly want to stick with the 6 that we discussed at the original licensing meeting we had. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think what Karen's telling us is that there could be a 7th, and do we want to address that problem before it comes up, or do we not? But also, you will have noticed what Karen said is that that 7th current license holder can actually hold 4 events a year anyway, without the need to come for a license. So can I suggest then that we stick with what we've got, which is the 6, and any new applications we would have to have a look at with regard to the policy, whether they meet the policy or whether we need to amend the policy for any application in the future. Can we agree that?
Agreed.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much indeed. And now we will go into confidence. Mark, can you advise where the public go now?
Yeah, so I'll stop the recording just now, which